When I'm sitting here thinking about nonfiction stories, I think it's important to realize that there are many different types of nonfiction that is out there. For example, if you live in a town, let's take the city of Berwyn, and let's say the city of Berwyn had 18,000 people in it. Not all 18,000 people are going to be teachers, right? There's going to be different types of jobs for all different types of people. You're going to have police officers, firemen, business workers, nurses, doctors, etc. Well, the same thing holds true with different types of nonfiction. Some are going to be expository texts, others are going to be like all about texts, and there could even be like narrative nonfiction texts. So it's important to know when you pick up a nonfiction book, you're identifying what type of book it is that you're actually going to be reading. But today I want to teach you that you can stretch the definition of a narrative. If you remember in the beginning of the year, a narrative is a story that has a character. Well, we have said before that you can take strategies that you've learned earlier in the year, say from narrative pieces, and apply it to nonfiction pieces. And that's what we're going to do today. You can look at a nonfiction piece that you're reading about a meerkat colony, or Venus flytrap, or the Pilgrims, and you can look at those things as the main character of what we like to call a nonfiction narrative. What I'd like you to do right now is to pause this video and to take a screenshot of this page and save it. But most importantly, screenshot this piece here that my laser pointer is going around, because this is going to be very helpful for you in a second, because I'm going to read to you a little story and you're going to have to decide if it's a story, if it's a narrative nonfiction. And then there's going to be questions on here that you're going to have to answer. Remember, if it is a narrative nonfiction, you have to ask yourself, is this a story? And might it be a narrative nonfiction? If it is a narrative nonfiction, read the story asking yourself, who is it about? And what are some of the traits of the main character? Remember, traits are things that you cannot see. They're things that are in the inside that make the person up, their personality. And also ask yourself, what does the character want? And what are some of its motivations, its needs? When we speak of like its, we're talking about the character. What are the character's motivations? What are the character's needs? And what dangers or struggles does the character encounter? These are things that you want to ask if you've identified your story as being a narrative nonfiction. You're going to see why in a second. So you guys, here's the story that I'm going to read to you. As I'm reading it to you, I want you to really think about the story and ask yourself, is this a narrative nonfiction? Is there a character in the story? Who might the character be? Remember, the character may not be a traditional person that you've read in previous narratives. Could take on a different personification. Love that literary element, right? Personification is something that is not human, that has human characteristics. Think about that. Cactus Hotel. On a hot, dry day in the desert, a bright red fruit falls from the tall saguaro. 2,000 black seeds glistening in the sunlight. When the air cools in the evening, an old pack rat comes out and eats the juicy fruit. Then he scooters across the sand. A seed left clinging to his whisker falls off under a palvador tree. It's a good place for the seed to drop. A spotted ground squirrel looking for something to eat does not see it, and a house finch tripping high in the palvador doesn't see it either. After many days, a heavy rain falls on the desert. Soon a young cactus sprouts up from the ground. Slowly and slowly, the seedling grows. The palvador protects it from the hot summer sun and the cold winter nights. After 10 years, the cactus is only 4 inches high. It is just big enough for the desert ants to climb its spiny sides. So in case you haven't figured it out yet, this story that we just read to you about the cactus is a narrative nonfiction. Who's the character in this story? Well, it's the cactus, right? The saguaro cactus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this strategy. This is a great strategy in order to be able to do a very quick summary and to show that you understand what you just read. It's called Somebody Wanted But So. And what I would suggest you doing is taking a screenshot right now so you have this, because you're going to be using this today during reading workshop. You're going to be using it several times, not just once. It's called Somebody Wanted But So. And I'm going to apply this strategy to the story I just read to you about the saguaro cactus. So, who's the somebody? Well, the somebody in this story is the cactus, right? And what does he want? Well, he wants to be able to survive life in the desert, because we all know that life in the desert is harsh. But there is little water, and the animals like that pack rat and the finch like to eat the seeds. So what does the cactus have to do? Well, the cactus has to make a ton of seeds so it has a better chance of survival. And let's kind of go back through that and let's talk about that. And how do I know these things? Well, I know that the cactus makes a ton of seeds because in the beginning of the story it said that it dropped and there were thousands of little black seeds glistening in the sun. I know that the story is about the cactus because, well, the cactus is the main character. It's not a person, but it takes on those human traits, the personification. What does it want? Well, it wants to survive because the whole story was about survival and this cactus growing and this seed surviving. I know that the pack rat and the finch like to eat the seeds because the story made a big deal about the fact how that seed went unnoticed to those animals. And the so is, well, the so is that it has many seeds, so it has a better chance to survive. And that's all there is to it. I would just put that in paragraph form. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in paragraph form on the next in 1 second. So here's an example of my somebody wants but so. As you can see here, I have my somebody, I have my wants because I underlined it, I have my but, and I have my so. That's right, I just said but. So let me read you the whole thing. And this is what yours should look like when you're reading your own nonfiction story and you're doing your own somebody wants but so. The cactus wants to be able to survive life in the desert, but there is little water and animals like the squirrel and the finch try to eat the seeds. So the cactus will make tons of seeds hoping that some will survive. It's really that simple. All you're doing is just recalling the information that you read in the story. So today for reading workshop, you are going to use the somebody wanted but so to help you synthesize narrative nonfiction. You are going to submit several examples. You notice how I didn't say one example, but I'm expecting more than one examples of you using this throughout your reading today. Basically, you're going to read a little bit of your story. You're going to stop, you're going to pause, and you are going to complete the somebody wanted but so. You're going to write that down on your post-it note, and you're going to submit that along with another or several other examples to the standard base grading Dropbox. Good luck, and I look forward, of course, to listening and reading your somebody wanted but so's.